You are now listening to the Curtis King Podcast. What's going on with you music producers, and welcome to the Curtis King Podcast. I am Curtis King, and I want to welcome you. If you're listening in from the traditional podcasting platforms, Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, I just want to say thank you, a sincere thank you for taking a listen to this podcast. If you enjoy it and you feel compelled or you feel moved, definitely leave us with a 5-star rating as well as some commentary so that others, when they come here, know what's being said about the podcast. Also, we host a video form of this podcast on my YouTube channel, which is Curtis King TV, Curtis King with 2 S's. If you just search it out on YouTube, you'll be able to locate the podcast in a video form, as well as join this really supportive community, which I got to shout out, multi shout outs, big shout outs for those of you that have joined our new YouTube membership community, which is going to be super dope as we start to get that underway. I actually got approved really fast on that. I wasn't expecting to have that up so fast as we hosted our first Subscriber Thursdays. So I encourage you to come join us on YouTube to get more information about that. Subscriber Thursdays are going to be pretty fire because we're going to be listening to your music, and we're going to be, giving some real-time feedback, as well as making beats with your samples, which are two things that I think will probably make some folks like scratch their head with me. And they probably like, wait a minute. I thought you wasn't doing that. Well, there's a lot of things I thought I wasn't going to be doing. There's a lot of things that I thought that were beyond this stage of my career, because they were simply things that I just didn't want to do. And something that I forgot that I had to remind myself about, especially now that I'm in this phase of my career and my business, in which we are finally scaling up, and scaling up for real, scaling up and bringing folks on and being able to delegate the responsibilities that used to just be on my shoulders or the shoulders of just 2 or 3 people at a time. We're expanding that out now. And so as we do that, as we scale, it definitely makes you revisit some of those statements that you make, some of those moments of comfortability, which is going to really be the recurring theme of this particular podcast episode. But it makes you revisit, like, just to stop speaking in code. There was a point in time where I was like, yeah, I'm not doing beat reviews. Beat reviews are your business. And I still feel like, to a certain degree, they are your business, and I still don't do them on the fly. You DM me about doing a beat review, you will, I mean, not cuss, I was getting ready to go off. You will get a very unfriendly, get the hell out of my DMs. Okay. That's no, I do not. Everybody has off time. Everybody has off time. And there's a place for it now with Subscriber Thursdays. But I got to a place where I was like, man, I am so excited about making my music, which I got back to doing. I got so excited about finally creating and being a producer again, instead of a producer mentor or a producer feedback giver, or just instead of being on the sideline and being someone's coach, or being, the veteran that never gets any playing time. I was excited about getting back in the game and really making music on a consistent basis, and even seeing growth. But something I was reminded by a good friend of mine, who has already scaled and knows what it looks like. Scaling can put your business in a very vulnerable place, in which you're using more resources than usual to ultimately maximize the growth of your business. This isn't just, you're making an X amount of money and you're scaled. This is a thing where it's like, how do we scale for sustainability? So it brought me back to a conversation that I had with someone that one of the only folks out here that really can call me on my bull, or call me when I'm being stubborn, and I listen. And the message was that even when you find success and even when you find a level of comfortability, one, comfortability is dangerous. And we'll talk about why it's dangerous. And two, you have to have something in your line of work. There's going to always be something in your line of work that you're just not going to want to do that you must do. Because at the end of the day, you're in a people serving business. And this is something I'm well aware of, but there were just certain things that I just needed to line up and say, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore because it doesn't bring me joy. But if it was all about just getting and attaining joy, then I think there's a lot of things that we would miss out on. And I think there's a lot of decisions that we would never make that would be for our ultimate benefit. I could tell you right now, for someone that is as stubborn as I can be sometimes, I can be very stubborn. For somebody who is as stubborn as I can be, this last week has been kicking my ass left and right, handing out names. I feel like I have been, first of all, getting out of my comfort zone of not doing consistent YouTube videos. I was just very happy with doing the live streams, but what I did not realize, or what I kind of realized but didn't care, was that in doing just the live streams as a producer, I'm only talking to the folks who have already said, look, I'm rocking with you. I'm running with you. Shout out to all of my Flocation Nation folks. They are part of the new Discord we created and all that good stuff. They're already in line. Like, they're already on board, right? But you're not really finding new people through that medium. The way that I found those people who end up becoming sort of a part of an exclusive group was through making new YouTube content. So I had to peel off that layer of comfortability, which was like, I'm just good here doing the YouTube stuff, live streaming. I peeled off that layer though, right? I had to eat my humble pie and come back to the YouTube after I said I wasn't going to do YouTube anymore. And it went from just live streams to even just doing content. Okay, peeled off that layer of comfortability. So it meant me getting back into a headspace of what is going to attract attention and what is it that I can share that I'm already attracted to, that it's already something that's a part of my passion. And maybe not even always a passion, but something that I know that I do well that can help other people. It got me into a place where I got to do the thumbnails again. All right. I got to do the goofy face. Now I'm going to say that I don't have to do the goofy face. It's just part of my personality. But I'm doing all of this stuff that I was like, yeah, I'm past that. I'm moving on from this. And it's very ironic that at the same period of time that we got ads going like never before, we're talking about investing money that we've never invested before. I'm actually, as I'm advancing there's a necessity for me to get back to the things that I do best, even if I don't feel like doing them. And I'm definitely at a place where it's like, I have to take out the me in this. I found in my career, the most dangerous and vulnerable times is when I got comfortable. And that is at all stages of my career. When I wasn't really making a whole lot of money, but I was making just enough money to take care of my bare necessities, I got comfortable, right? What am I working for now? We're working to get out of this situation. Yeah. But that'll be, it's long term. We'll get there eventually. And I always notice, and it usually comes in the form of car trouble. I've always noticed that the moment that I get comfortable, and that life is asking me to grow. Life is demanding me to grow because I have demanded of life a certain type of lifestyle that I expect. Some bull happens out of nowhere, and my car out of nowhere, it started experiencing issues with the motor or the engine light and all this other stuff going on. I'm not really a car person, but I can call the homie, oh gosh, and he'll let me know what's going on with it. And I'm asking him about what the issue is and what he might think it is. He's like, yo, that might set you back a little bit. Sure enough, I go in and I take care of it. And they're like, yeah, we need this X amount of money. And I'm like, I got ads going right now, like crazy, right? Like we're reinvesting what we are making from the plugins and the courses and all this stuff, that some stuff that I actually put on ice, we're reinvesting that right back into the ads. And so with that said, like, it's going well, but it's also getting a little bit uncomfortable for your mans, if I'm being very transparent. And it's once again going to that theme of comfortability versus uncomfortability. So I'm at the car place or whatever, and they're telling me what issues are going on, and they hit me with that price tag, and I'm like, all right, well, it's got to get taken care of. It's not even a question. So we get taken care of. And then I remembered the last time that my business scaled and got to a level that I just did not anticipate was when I first started selling beats. And at that point in time, I had card trouble. It was card trouble that made me really, really question the things that I thought I was either too good for or the things that I thought I was above. All good things, though. All good things, because they're about serving other people and being of service to other folks. But they challenged me. And it's crazy because now, as we're getting ready to scale to a level that we have never scaled before, it is certainly now getting into a challenging space that's like, every time I sit back and I don't press the gas and move forward into what I'm doing, something else pops up. Either a charge or just something crazy just keeps popping up. And so I was talking to my friend about this, and he asked me a question that I just wasn't really ready to have to answer. But the question came along the statement, have you gotten comfortable? Do you think that you're living too comfortably? Right? You saw yourself go through the pandemic and everything that folks were dealing with. You were part of a small percentage of the population that was financially thriving in that time, because of the nature of your work. You think you got a little comfortable? And after really sitting with that, my gut reaction was like, nah, hell no, I ain't comfortable. What do you mean? Hell no, I'm over here. We good. But after thinking about it, I was like, you know what? I think that all levels of success bring a certain level of comfortability once it becomes not such a new thing anymore, right? Once you get to a place where it's like, all right, okay, we're out of the red and we're in this dark green. We're not quite bright green, but we're in this dark green area, right? And maybe it's happened for you when you start selling a few beats on a consistent level. Maybe it's happened for you when you start getting your streaming checks in and you're like, okay, all right, cool. We're not in the red, so we're good. There's a level of comfortability that is going to set in. You can't even avoid it. It's going to set in. It's human for it to set in, because who wants to live on edge all of the time? Who wants to be anxious all of the time? And so that being said, it has been a character challenging week. to put it lightly. It's been a character challenging week, because beyond the situations with the car, beyond the situations, good things with the business, I started dealing with like some anxiety that came out of nowhere, because like I said, I'm in a place now where it's like, I'm certain level. I am used to a certain level of comfortability, and it was getting tight. But it's a necessary tight, because we know at the end of this tunnel what it's going to be, right? But the anxiety started kicking up like never before, stronger than ever before. Even right now, I'm recording this podcast at 6 p.m. On a Saturday, because the entire day, my neck and my back, my neck and my back. What movie they remind me of? Is that Friday? My neck and my back. It's been in pain, fam. It's been in pain. I had to get like this strong ass CBD roll on. And it comes because this week I have been going absolutely nuts on the content for the YouTube. I have been having to swallow my pride and just go and do the things that I don't always want to do because it's not about me. It's about you. The person that sits down here and listens to me rant about, oh my God, the problems you're having with your scaling. Oh my gosh, you're living so terrible, isn't it, Curtis? I will never be that for somebody else. I will never look at somebody else's situation and judge it because I know that at every level comes a challenge. If you're used to growing, if you're used to being in a place where you challenge yourself to be better than you were yesterday, understand the responsibility that comes with that. When you say I want to be better than yesterday, you're saying that I want to be better than the way that I dealt with issues that I did yesterday. You're saying not only do I want to deal with problems in a better way than I did yesterday, but I also want bigger problems. You don't say you want to make things, you don't say you want to get to another level without having another level of bullshit that comes along with it. That's just not how this works. That's how we would like it to work, me included. I would love for scaling to be pain-free, stress-free, but it's not scaling at that point. With that said, I want to share a few quotes about scaling your business, and they're from folks who have been massively successful in their own fields. The first one is Travette Henriquez. Okay, I found this on the website. First one says, scaling a business at speed can feel like an out-of-control roller coaster. That's what this last 2 weeks have felt like. 2 or 3 weeks has felt like that, right? We've been scaling for quite some time, but not really putting our foot on the gas of doing that until the last month or so. But yeah, scaling a business at speed can feel like an out-of-control roller coaster. Next one from George Bernard Shaw. It is impossible to progress without change, and those who do not change their minds cannot change anything. Last one, Tony Gwynn, famous baseball player, legendary baseball player, Hall of Famer. The minute you're satisfied with where you aren't there anymore. The minute you're satisfied with where you aren't there anymore. Damn. So all three of these resonate with me. That's the reason I wanted to share it with you. This last one, the minute you're satisfied with where you aren't there anymore, is one that I'm sure can be took in many different ways. But when I hear that quote, it's almost sort of like how I describe producers when they get into their flow state. If you recognize, hey, I'm in flow, you're no longer in flow. Right? If you recognize I'm really in a zone right now, you're not focused on the mindset and the laser focus that it requires to be in that zone, because you don't have time to acknowledge how much of a zone you're in. You're just going. You're just, at that point, you're just a machine of progression. You're just, I'm just throwing up shots, and it's just going in. I think that I got comfortable. I think I for sure got comfortable. And I think that I finally started to achieve the things. I think I got probably the most comfortable that I've ever gotten in my career. And my comfortability, mind you, is a little bit different than most folks' comfortability, right? I get comfortable and still work. I get comfortable and it still looks like it's someone that is overachieving. I get comfortable and it still looks like someone who is really going ham. But what does that mean to me when I know that I'm capable of doing more? When I know in my mind the things that I can do to ultimately grow this, to support those who are working with me, working for me in this business, when I know I can do things that would ultimately be a minor sacrifice of my time, right? And it could help everything, and I don't do it, what other thing do you attest? Like, what other thing do you say that is? For me, that's comfortability. That's me looking at the change, acknowledging the change, being happy with the change, being satisfied. And when you're satisfied, you're no longer at that level anymore. It's almost like you're observing it and you're looking up at a wall of art, right? Art pieces that you have created through the success of your life. You're looking up at the wall and you're like, damn, look what I did. Damn, look what I did. That's crazy. You're looking at almost like you're looking from a standpoint that's saying you're not currently doing that. You're looking from a place that's either reflective or a place that's like, oh man. And I'm not saying that you should not take time to acknowledge and look at the scoreboard. That's something I always talk about. But I do think that there is a there is a place that you gotta call yourself on it and be like, am I relaxing in the bleachers? Am I going to sleep in the bleachers? Am I just chilling here for too long? You can look at the scoreboard a little bit too long too. You still got more quarters to be played. Still got more minutes you got to put in. And so now as I am in here, and I'm making this podcast not to disclose all of my business and what's going on, but I'm making this podcast really as a documenting of time, but also as hopefully some foresight as you scale from whatever level that you're at to whatever level that you want to go to. Understand that until you figure out how to deal with the stress of things being uncomfortable, until you find peace in chaotic environments, not just peace with the environments, but your own internal peace, you are going to forever be tested at every single stage. There's a reason why when you hear billionaires and millionaires talk about they had to lose hundreds of thousands to make it to $1 million. They had to lose millions, hundreds of millions to make it to billions, and not to make it all about money. But that is one measurement of how your business is scaling. Also, in our age of business, you can say influencers, but as those who are sharing content, part of that also is your vanity statistics, your likes, your views, your comments, your engagement, your shares. And I got to a place that I was convinced it was so much more serene and so uncaring about these numbers and things like that, because I felt that way, it meant everything was going to be all right. And I still feel like everything will always be all right, no matter what. If I have an opportunity to wake up, that is a blessing, that's a privilege that I could do something with. But in a world that is ever changing, forever changing, there are things that mean something to other people before they make a decision either to buy with you or to subscribe to a channel or to listen to a podcast. Folks want to validate you. How can I learn anything from you if you've never accomplished anything? What is it that you've accomplished? And many times I get to a place where it's like, I don't even want to megaphone my accomplishments, because I felt like that was part of being satisfied, right? Am I going to always go around here having to tote the fact that I've worked with Kendrick Lamar and Absol and all these folks am I forever going to have to tote that? It got to the point where I started feeling like that cannot be all that I am. Yeah, I've worked with Vans. I worked with Justin Timberlake and Levi's, and I worked with VH1, MTV, but Curtis King is so much more than that. And so that got me to a place where it was like, okay, but those things do matter to someone else, and they matter to you when they were occurring. So at this stage now, there are things that I'm having to give a second look at. Part of that is the viewership of this channel, because I know for a fact how long these podcasts are. This podcast is not going to have high viewership. I'm not expecting that, right? That's not what I go in here doing it for. But I have to acknowledge that if you are at the service of other people and you're not delivering, or if you're not packaging it in a way that is digestible or in a way that actually can help, Got to call yourself on your own bull. That being said, let's take a quick commercial break to shout out our friends at Vocally Doubler that have a device that, if you haven't heard of it, allows you to turn your humming, your singing, your beatboxing into MIDI notes that you can play through any VST, any one shot. It's super crazy. You're going to want to check this out. I'll see you in just a second. The Curtis King Podcast is proudly sponsored by the Vocally Doubler. What is a doubler? Well, I think better than telling you, I should show you. You trying to tell me I can use this microphone to make beats, to make melodies, to make chord progressions? I can use my voice? I'm all in. Pretty cool, right? Check this out. The Vocally Doubler represents the future of making music. The Vocally Doubler is a real-time voice recognition MIDI controller. It offers up a never-before-seen way to translate your musical ideas into reality, using the one instrument you've been practicing since birth, your voice. Make more of the music you love without having to worry about how to get your ideas into your DAW. Before the Doubler even sponsored this podcast, I picked it up just because I'm a geek about technology. And I personally picked up the Doubler Studio Kit, which allows you to hum a melody, a synth pattern, or even beatbox one-shots right into FPC if you use FL Studio or whatever DAW that you're using. This also allows you to manipulate effects and filters in a way that only the voice can. To get the Studio Doubler Kit, all you gotta do is access getdoubler.com/Curtis King. Okay, thank you, Vocally Doubler, for sponsoring and powering this podcast. So let's go ahead and end this out on a topic we were kind of alluding to, but the viewership of this channel has changed so many different ways, and I can't blame. First of all, let me just say this. Thank you for those of you that have gone through all of these roller coaster changes of this channel and have had patience with me and have stuck it through. Thank you for the day ones. Thank you for the members. Thank you for those that have been watching in silence. Thank you for those who never even comment, but you're here, and I know you're here, right? Thank you for those that hit like and all of that stuff. I call them vanity statistics, but those mean something to someone. So how can I be so full of myself that I'm like, it don't mean nothing to me? You know, change has to occur. Like that second quote said. The second quote, which I think really, really drives into this: it is impossible to progress without change, and those who do not change their minds cannot change anything. I'm looking for massive change. I have never been one to shy away from massive change in my life. One of the last massive, I shouldn't say one of the last, but one of the biggest massive changes in my life came when I went to this Tony Robbins event called Unleash the Power Within. I actually went twice to that event, 3-day event, in which, we walked on fire or hot fire coals. It's so much stuff that happened in there. Like, you barely ate. It was really about seeing what the power of moving your body can do, understanding the power of your mind, and how to really, really find change and hold on to it and have a sustainable change in your life. Never been the same. Never been the same after attending that. But that being said, I still think even with that massive change, I got to a place where comfortability was just, man, like if you've seen the places that I have been at, if you've seen the humble beginnings that I have had, being here is a tremendous blessing and privilege, and one that, no matter what you define as success personally, whether you look at what I have accomplished, I've always had people who try to belittle this form of success. No matter what you think that is, this has already been a ridiculous ride that I had nothing that I could have predicted. But as I was watching this J. Cole documentary that he released in collaboration with his album, the project, The Off Season, he said the same exact thing. And J. Cole and I are like around the same age, if not the same age. And he says something about that he started to look at his career and was like, do I really want to be known as the guy that never worked with anybody? Because his whole thing was like, went platinum with no features. You feel me? Like that was his sort of like his thing to stand on top of and be proud of, which he should be proud of. But he started asking his questions. He started asking questions that you can tell he is one that, just like I am one that continuously challenges ourselves to grow. And part of that growth is having uncomfortable conversations with the person that you currently are today. Because we all want to believe that at this point in time, that we're giving it the best shot that we can. No matter where we're at, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're working with or who you're working with, we all want to believe we're doing the best we can with what we have at this point in time. But the truth of the matter is there is no such thing as the best you can. There is only different from what you can. There is no best that you can. You will never achieve the best that you can. You will never achieve the best that you can, because the moment that you believe it's the best that you can, clock out, you're done. This is it. That's it. There is no best, right? There's always something to learn, even from what you think are your best beats or your best moments. There's always something to learn from it that you can slightly change now with the gift of experience, the gift of retrospect, the gift of studying the tapes. You now can say, I was pretty damn good. I was on fire. But if I would have done this a little bit faster, if I would have tweaked this a little bit, yada, 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 if I would have did this, I could have done even better. And I think that being aware of that and in watching that documentary, you could tell that J. Cole was very aware of where he's at this stage of his career. And as he's talking about possibly, making the decision to stop making music, he wants to really zero in on what his legacy will be, right? Ironically, I was watching the Hall of Fame ceremony today where they inducted Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Rudy Tomjanovich, and I was watching Kobe's wife speak about what he put as an emphasis on his legacy and how cemented his legacy was, and how much of that was him having to constantly challenge himself to get out of his comfort zone. Him, pushing forward, even with broken noses, broken fingers, shooting the ball with the left hand because his finger on his right hand is broken. His shooting finger is broken. Having an Achilles injury and still making 2 free throws and then limping off of the court. Like, I don't think that these are things we see from people who are just doing it because they're like, yeah, I want to have a story. Like, this is my legend. I think these are people who are honestly, they can't be any other way. That's their personality. That's who they are. They're constantly pushing the limits of human possibility. They're not even just human possibility, their own possibilities, right? They're constantly pushing themselves. They're training themselves to be the best that they can possibly be. And so in digesting all of that and hearing people talk about the late, great Kobe Bryant in retrospect and what he stood for and the constant evolution that he challenged himself to be under. There's no way that I can have this man's mantra on my wall. There's no way that I could have this portrait of Nipsey on the wall. There's no way that I could have all of these legendary folks around, right? These things that I'm inspired by, and getting comfortable. And it's not even just about them, because they're all from the same source. There's no way I can slap. Like, I feel like it's a disrespect to God that I've been given this opportunity and this platform. And I looked at things and said, well, that's just my principles, and I'm standing on that. And in the back of my mind, I knew it was pride, right? There are certain things that one must do for themselves. Speaking specifically, I must make music. I must make music. But if it was just about making music and that was it and that's all I needed, I would have never started to make a YouTube channel. But because I brought that into my life, and now because of how crucial that's going to be to this next stage of my career and scaling up, I must do it And I must do it with the same vigor that I give a beat when I sit down to FL Studio. I must give it the same respect. And part of giving that same respect is being willing to go through the ugly changes that growth brings. What are some of the ugly changes that growth brings? My YouTube channel right now, viewership is falling off out of nowhere. I don't know if it's because people are not seeing the videos. I don't know what the hell's going on. Viewership's falling off. Comments are dropping off. We're doing so many different things that I can't even blame anybody. I'm like, you watch what you watch. But what I do know is that this is a stage of growth for everything that you ever want to accomplish that's worthwhile. And I must, and I'm saying this out loud, I must get back to that stage in which I'm okay with things getting ugly. I'm okay with things feeling uncomfortable. I'm okay, not just okay with it, but I'm embracing it because I know on the other side of that is a massive growth and a level of success that I have never seen before. How can I want something I never had before without doing things that I don't want to do or never did before? It just almost sounds like a contradiction. How can I want these things? How can I want a level of success that I've never attained and think that it's going to happen, or be so stubborn to think that it's going to happen by doing the same things over and over and over again? And before those who are like sympathizing or empathizing and say like, you're so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. I think you're doing really well. I do think I'm doing really well, but I think that I have felt that way for too long. I have felt like I've been doing, in a lot of ways, the bare minimum in certain aspects outside of making music, outside of like the quality of the content that I do, outside of the pure quantity of content that I do. I know there's more that I could be doing, right? Even to the point where I was talking to my video editor, I was like, bro, I think it's time, because the viewership has dropped off for pretty much all of my social medias as well. And I said, you know what I think it's time to do? I think it's time to follow our own advice. Acronym for focus is follow one course until success. I think we need to shut down on the other social medias and let them just do what they do. We need to quadruple down on the YouTube. And as we quadruple down and we provide in this platform, we can always move that traffic over to other places if I choose to want to engage there. And so that's where I'm at with it right now. I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I don't know how this is going to go. I'm nervous because there's parts of my privacy and comfortability that are now starting to be come to the forefront, because it's a part of what I do now, like vlogging and things, and like stuff that I usually just, I think nobody gives a damn about this. Things that I haven't done before, like even like disclosing the whole meditation, how to teach me how to meditate, having people teach me on camera, like this, a certain level of humility that requires. And I'm opening myself up to it because I know, back like I said at the beginning of this year, that if I can develop a thicker skin than I've ever had before, this will be the most successful year of my life. I just had no idea how declaring that loudly, out loud, publicly, mentally, physically, how much that was going to be challenged. And I'm telling you right now, like, I dragged myself today up off the couch, up these stairs. I set everything up. It is 70. It is 75 degrees in here. AC's off to make sure the audio sounds good. But I'm not complaining. I say that to say, I don't care what level of success you're at, what level of success you wish to attain. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. That is part of the sacrifice. Beyond all the external things and the things surrounding that are going to happen, the friendships that are going to go different directions. beyond all that, right? Beyond all the internal struggles that you go through just because you're breaking your level of comfortability, every stage of your career as a producer, as a human being, will come with a level of vulnerability, a level of humility, a level of nervousness. I think that's normal. A level of doing things that you don't want to do. Things that you're not, I just don't feel like doing it. Well, you got to think that's what the majority of people who are going to jobs that they don't like are doing every single day to make ends meet. You think you're better than them? I don't think I'm better than them. So if that's the case, then we must be comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying that it's a part of every stage. And you must understand, like I'm understanding right now, when you ask for more, the price is more. When you ask for more, the price is more. More of you. More of your ability to endure, right? More strength, more endurance, more emotional IQ, right? Higher emotional IQ. More making decisions just in general, making decisions that are hard decisions that could very well affect someone else's well-being. Decisions that are not easy, but look, this is the price. This is the fee you must pay before you go to this next level. So I don't even know at this point what to title this podcast, but I do know this podcast was necessary. I love being able to come up here and document this because I know that when I'm on the other side of this scaling process and I look back at it, I'm going to remember this time, just like I remember the time when I was talking about, how impactful my wife at that point in time was for my life and us having a baby on the way. I remember those podcasts and I had to document that. This is something I had to document as well. I hope that you found it to be helpful or at least give you a little bit of insight or encouragement. If, we're very well in the same place, I hope that you just hear someone else saying it, that you realize that it's a normal thing. This is very normal, but it doesn't make it any easier. But as we scale and as you start to see this channel going on the changes, just know that it's not out of desperation. Just know that it's not out of, I hope it works. This is out of, how can I serve the members of this particular community, specifically my YouTube? How can I serve you? How can I serve you in a way that is stronger than before? How can I serve you in a way that expresses that is an extension of the growth that I have endured as a producer, as a mentor, as a public speaker, whatever you want to call it? How can I use that to its ultimate advantage? And I think part of one of my superpowers is my vulnerability. And I will forever have that as a part of what I do, because I think that in your vulnerability, other people see strength. Are they able to live vicariously through what you're doing? So no matter what you're at, no matter what you're doing right now, producers, no matter where you want to go at, no matter where you want to go to, I should say, just understand that you're going to be challenged on a level that is it's going to be at the top of your what do I want to say? I don't even know what I want to say. You're going to be challenged at a level that's going to beat your ass. That's what I want to say. You're going to be challenged at a level that's like, damn, I wouldn't think that at this point we would be getting kicked in the ass like this. But you got to get kicked in the ass so you can get to the place you want to get to. Because if you was just going just moonwalk your way level to level, and it was just like, oh baby, I'm getting so good at this. Oh shit. If you did it like that, you wouldn't value it. It wouldn't be nothing to you. You'd get there and you start talking stuff and you start feeling yourself and feel like you can't do no wrong. No. We need to get our ass kicked. And I'm currently getting my ass kicked. but it's all for a good reason. And I'm thankful for the ass kicker of life that is happening. Hey, you give me lemons, I'm gonna make some lemonade. And that's exactly what we doing. We having a barbecue under the shade, not in the shade, we in the sun because we're not comfortable. I'm gonna just end that analogy there. But I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the Curtis King podcast. Yeah, these are those episodes that are probably more so for me. Hopefully you find value in it, but I had to document this. I had to say what's on my mind at this point in time because I know that I'm not the only one going through it. And I know that you are going to, if you have not gone through it, you are going to go through it again at every stage of your career. As you demand growth of life, as you demand elevation, you are going to get another challenge that is going to challenge you at the very level that you're at, or it wouldn't be a challenge, right? So that's that. Thank you for those that were listening here on the traditional platforms. The podcasting platforms, definitely give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed this. Let me know something that resonated with you. Also, my YouTube family, definitely leave a comment below. Just get some of this engagement up because the content ain't gonna stop. We got it. It's gonna keep on coming. It's coming. It is coming. You ain't gonna do nothing about it. So you might as well just go ahead and join in. It's an onslaught. Me and Jay, whew, you ain't seen nada. Telling you, we coming, but I'm just not even gonna say that. We got it. That being said, like I always say, in this life, you will not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. Shout out once again to Vocally a Doubler for sponsored empowering this podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a good one.